So my channel is all about future simplified technology that can help your life be a much simpler place. But have you ever tried Notion? Well, I assume that you have because you're here. And if you're like me, you had no idea what to do. You opened up to this blank space, expected to start forward-slashing things and selecting and building blocks, whatever that meant. I know, I've been there. I'd heard Notion was the ultimate productivity and coordinating space, but I just couldn't get into it. So I dedicated a ton of time to create the ultimate workspace. So if you want to create a productivity dashboard just like this, well, by the end of this video, you'll have the skills to do just that. We're going to break down 4 key steps in the next 10 minutes for you to take into your daily Notion use. And right at the end, we're going to dive into some advanced use cases and tips that will help take your Notion use to the next level. So without further ado, let's get into it. This part is all about understanding your workspace. And yes, it looks really empty right now, but don't worry, because what we're going to do is fill this thing up with your to-do list, your notes, and your plans. So on the left, you've got your sidebar with all of your pages and your templates. So we're going to add our page. We're going to make it blank. All right, so let's call this thing Productivity Dashboard because we're about to become incredibly productive. Okay, so we've got a productivity dashboard. You know, even being slightly more productive than where you are is probably a good thing. Sitting behind Notion is this idea of blocks. Now, everything is a digital block. As you can see here, you've essentially got an unlimited grid system on the page. And if you think of all of the blocks like Lego, you're going to place each Lego block on top of each other. So you can stack text, to-do lists, and tables. So we'll make this quick to-do list right here. And you can see how this all starts to come together. And you know, the good thing about these blocks is, unlike Lego, you will not be stepping on any in the process. Back to the tutorial. Anyway, so the way that we're going to navigate this is that you should be able to just press / on absolutely anything, and a whole menu of blocks is going to appear. As you can see, we've got some really interesting things like quotes, setting dividers, and that's how you structure your page, all the way through to just different heading sizes and to-do lists, or embedding pages. So we'll get into that a little later. That's a slightly more advanced option, but you can just use all of these blocks together in one go. And let's just give this a quick title, because visualization is super important. This little icon here, you can click on it and it pulls up a menu, and pulling yourself down to color just allows you to start selecting the color of the text, or what I like to do is just select the color of the background. And look, aesthetics are one thing, but I think that this is a super important part of Notion, because helping you guide your eye around all the information that you're putting in here is really important. And that's exactly what colors and smart aesthetics allow you to do: draw the eye through and actually cognate a lot more of the information. So yes, it might seem a little fluffy, but it's still very, very much important. So let's go back to this to-do list and start populating it. We'll create it again, just for the sake of it. So / to do, and voila, checklist appears. Now you can start adding tasks like feed the goldfish, actually fold clothes, and let's call mum. Make sure we call mum. Always got to remember that one. If you're anything like me, you like to add things that you've already done to your to-do list, just makes yourself feel a bit better. But next, what we can't fake is our calendar. So let's add a calendar, / calendar, and now you can drag, drop, and set deadlines for your tasks. So matching these up. I like adding a timeline onto my calendar to view what's coming up. So let's just add a quick thing onto this calendar and go into it, and we can just set the date a bit better, give it an icon. Awesome. So up here, you can just add another view onto that calendar. And I want to select a timeline view because I like to see things over time. I think it looks cleaner and it gives you a real great sense of direction. All right, so that's a pretty simple setup. You have a to-do list and a calendar. Great. But next is really where you're going to start unlocking the full power of Notion. Databases are really the entire backbone of your Notion setup. And I like that to be a table. So let's select this table here. So we'll go / table. And you can add columns for anything. So tasks, deadlines, your friend's birthdays, so you never forget. Is specifically going to be for big ideas. And this is going to act as the backbone for your productivity space. So this is obviously an example. You're going to want to think about this yourself, but we'll add in some titles. So I'm going to give it a name. Now, category is super important. So you can go into category and we'll just press this little button here and you can see we can start to add different tags. So it's called tags, but I like calling them, they're obviously categories. So we want some categorization in here. Let's add a status on here. And I think these are just fine. So our status are obviously not started, in progress, and complete. That's great. Let's just select that. Perfect. And let's add a checklist. All right, so we've got our table, but why don't we start to add another dimension to this? Let's add another layer. So let's add some deadlines to it. Because now what I'll be able to do is add that timeline view. So I've got my full list. Imagine I can just collect constantly all my big ideas, give it a category, select a deadline, understand if I'm working on it right now, and also give it a bit of a space for when I'm meant to be working on it. And that's going to allow me to look at it in a few different ways, and I'll explain that in a minute. So next we're going to come on to one of my favorite features, which is page linking. So you'll notice that what I did here when I created this database is I actually set it as its own page itself, because that's going to be the master. I'm going to just constantly improve that table over time. So actually, let's just quickly have a look at mine. So this is my Future Simplified dashboard. This is really where I track all of my high-level projects, everything I need to know about my YouTube channel. So the name, I don't forget that, but I need to remind myself what I'm doing here. I've got the concept, I've got a quote that I like to keep myself grounded on. And then of course, I've got all the upcoming content. I've got things that I'm working on, and we're going to create that exact look in your personal dashboard that currently has your to-do list and your calendar. First step is to actually set yourself up a new column. We will call one of those things our in progress projects. And this whole section is going to be big ideas tracker. So now I'm going to have a place for all of that. So I'll get all my in progress projects. Yeah. And what I'm going to do then is just underneath that is / and then I'm going to go to table and select table within database. I don't want to just select a basic table. I want to select a database table. So I'm going to select my database table, and I'm actually going to link that to an existing database, which will be my big ideas. All right, so we've got that there. We've got my big ideas listed down. That's great. I'm going to go over to status, and I just want to see the things that I'm working on. So on this home page, status, filter, and filter by in progress. Oops, there we go. Yep, so now I've literally just got the things that are currently being worked on right now. So while that's really helpful, I then want to see what's coming up. And then I'll /, and then I'm just going to / timeline view. So again, I can add a timeline from an existing database. And again, that's going to be my big ideas. And what you'll see now is all my big ideas mapped out perfectly. Pretty good, hey? Great. So let's just play around with this and make this a little neater. We want to make this nice and tidy. So we're going to just color some titles and we will make everything nice and structured. Okay, so there you have it. You now have a home command center. Your personal productivity dashboard now has absolutely everything that you need in order to visualize everything in one place. Looks good, looks good. Now, of course, we just created our own one. You don't just want to make this surface level, you want to add a layer of depth. As you can see on my homepage, I've got everything I need to see on there. And the reason I've got just the things that I've currently got in production is because I can go into that, and as you can see, there's actually a lot more detail within each one. I've got title ideas that I've put in there. I have thumbnail description. I'm really hoping that that is the thumbnail I ended up using. And then you've got the script that I've written. So hopefully you recognize some of the same words in here as well. And that is what I absolutely love about Notion. What are you finding really helpful about Notion? Or is there anything, tips that you'd like to see next time? drop it in the comments below. And finally, if you'd like to see more on productivity and the top apps that do that for you, check out this video here. It's got everything you need for your iPad. That's it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.